My name is Johnny Rule. I'm 25,414 days old, and I live 19 miles to the east of here in Middle Tennessee.
Okay. And just broadly, what has been your experience like living in the U.S. as a whole?
Well, interesting. I lived 16 places before I was 18 years old, and 5.5 years of that was in Europe, and I lived in diplomatic communities and military communities. So I knew what an American community abroad was like.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I came to MTSU back originally in 1968 was to understand American culture, because I didn't understand it well. Again, the military culture is very different.
Yeah.
So,
Because you had gained it from a foreign perspective.
right, and we were at the embassy in Germany, and what we were doing is we are trying to present the best outlook of the United States rather than the realistic, what does the United States really look like. So I really didn't understand this culture. I had never lived in the South when we came to Tennessee, and having lived all over the world, moving to a place where most people, when they talked about having crossed the big water, they were talking about the Tennessee River. And everybody went home on weekends, and there wasn't much of a sense of adventure. So that was difficult for me to reconcile. This was during the Vietnam War, and it was a confusing time for young people. And I left college to try to find, with my generation, a solution to the mess that we were in. I hitchhiked 40,000 miles, so I saw the United States. People didn't have cell phones in those days,
Yeah.
so when they picked you up, you were a person they would never see again, and they would tell you their life story. They would tell you things that their own family didn't know about them. It was just a safe environment. And I would get out of the car and just say, wow, I can't believe I heard that. And then you'd stick your thumb out and wait for the next human mystery to come by and reveal itself to you. So I got to see the bigotry. I got to see the lovingness, the generosity, the good and the bad, really. At that time, in the late 60s, early 70s, among the people that I interacted with, there was a feeling of brotherhood. People called each other brother and sister. There were crash pads, free places, to stay when you got to towns. There was free clothing. People wanted to live in commune. And that was an ideal that didn't work out because it was a bunch of young people who had rejected all authority and were looking for a better way. And they made a lot of mistakes.
Things like hitchhiking, that's a way of the past too, just being able to have that ability to trust on someone to come and pick you up.
Sure. Yes, there was much more of a spirit of interaction and of community, and now people are very much self-absorbed, and I see it here sitting on campus. People all walk out and they're staring at their right hand. They know a lot about a lot of things. They're observers rather than participants for the most part. In my generation, we were participants. We were out there. We were doing stuff.
There's a lot of talk and not a whole lot of walk.
Yeah, a lot of knowledge without an action behind it. So there's very much of a difference now. 20 or 30 years ago, to an extent, I separated myself from the world and from the chaos, I guess, of the world when I accepted Christ. And I treat myself now as though I'm an ambassador again, but from a different kingdom. And although I'm in this world, my job isn't to change it, but to rescue people out of it into God's kingdom. So consequently, as I see the chaos of the world, I'm not that alarmed by it. It's been prophesied that that's the way it would go. And so I feel like I'm watching the Titanic sink, and everybody else is trying to patch it, and I'm trying to get people on the lifeboats to get off of it.
So to go off of that, there is a lot of chaos, but there is, like you said, a lot of delight, a lot of joy in the world. In this country, what would you say would be the probably better aspects and the things that you would most definitely want to improve?
Ooh, well, I guess I would take the word love. My generation wrote it all over the place. We didn't know what it meant. And we still thought of love as something that we wanted. And the people that I see now who are making an impact on the world recognize love as being something that you give. And so it means I give me rather than I want you. And so I think that those people that are most effective in the world are those who have forgotten about themselves and are invested in helping others better themselves. Those who would being selfless. Ones who would be in. I just got a phone call from a woman this morning who used to be a student here, and she's now in Turkey teaching English to Syrian refugees so that she can help them out of their horrible condition. That's a love that will change the world in a positive way. She's given up all the things that this society would say a young woman should be doing to profit herself, and she's instead seeing what she can do with her life to profit others.
So you would say that one thing being improved would just be a greater acceptance of people and just having an open mind, greater empathy toward people?
Well, definitely an empathy toward people. Now, as far as when somebody says an open mind, there's only a certain extent to which I, as a follower of Christ, am going to have an open mind. So society changes its mores and its that which is acceptable within the society, but God hasn't changed. And so that which I would direct people to would be to the teachings of our Lord. He's the one who created us. He has a design. If we follow that design, then we can truly have contentment. And of course, part of that design is to give to others.